So basically, in our curriculum, there are 2 courses each semester, basically. One is the theory, and one is doctoring. The doctoring are the more practical side of medicine. You learn techniques, you learn OMT, and then you have the theory, which is more basic, more science-based. You focus on the body systems, right? So you have labs throughout the week. You have labs on pathology, labs on histology, so anatomy as well. And that's our school is system-based, so you focus on that system for your semester, and then you just do everything in that system, and then you move on to the next system. But one thing about professors, they always try to tie back to what we've learned in the past. So pharmacology, it's building on, so it's very good, very connected.
So is that what you mean by blocks? Each block is a different system that you study?
By blocks. Blocks is like, it's kind of like the finals for that session. So
there's 3 a semester, 3 blocks a semester.
So for instance, for us, I don't know about how the second year class is going, but right now for us, we're doing integrated systems of cardiovascular, respiratory, and renal. So our first block is really the physiology of how the cardiovascular system works, how the respiratory works, how the kidneys work, and all that was tied together with, so that was the physiology of it. And part of that physiology was also some histology, so you kind of know what's going on. And so that was that part. And so now we have our second blocks coming up.
We're moving into pathology.
Right, which is now moving into a more clinical thing. Like, what would you actually see from a clinical perspective? Now that you have the theory, now that you know how the system works, how your body works, now what do you actually see, like, the pathology of it? What goes wrong, what could go wrong, and how can you help with drugs, how can you help with OMM, with doctoring, things like that.
And along the way, you learn clinical skills,
right.
Focused cardiovascular exam, what you need to do with the patient, and then we actually have practicals on those clinical skills items.
Just want to add on one thing. There's 2 different approaches that the medical schools are doing nowadays. Most traditionally, the way it's done is the first year is all normal physiology of every single system, and they just go by system by system by system. And then the second year is all the pathology that is surrounding those normal physiologies. During the second year, it's usually that way. For most medical schools, it's that way. Our curriculum is a little bit different. We do it all systematic based. So for every block or whatever group system, you're going to get both normal physiology and pathology all on the same block. That way you have a closer connection to link it all up. Instead of waiting a whole year, to link up, oh, what did I learn back then, a year ago, about renal systems? You already have it fresh in your mind. So that's the difference between our curriculum and some other traditional curriculums. My brother goes to allopathic school over in the East Coast, and he does that traditional approach. But he's been to different conferences, I've been to different conferences, and overall they say that systematic approach is better. The students get a better integration of the different systems by going through normal and normal physiology and pathology all in one. So that's another thing that's added on to our school.
So you'll be doing your anatomy over 2 years, rather than just learning it all in the first year.
And actually, this is sort of the movement in terms of medical school curriculum. Most of the schools are switching over to system-based curriculum now. So
it's kind of nice to, sorry to interrupt.
What?
And it's kind of nice to just if you're going to do theory and physiology of the renal system, it's good to learn about it also in pathology and pharmacology, and it just goes across the whole broad system rather than having it in kind of semesters where you're learning about this here and then a totally different thing here and then trying to put it together a year later, It's kind of nice to get that broad spectrum from the different angles. And then you can incorporate it and put it together, so, so it's nice like that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.